Vetiver by Carven versus Guerlain Vetiver. Which will win? We'll find out in just a minute. Let me give you a little bit of history about these. Um, this, I I did not wear these. I knew that I was going to do a comparison between this and the Guerlain Vetiver, and I wanted to get familiar with them. I always like to wear fragrances right before I do a review so I can get everything in my head, the way it develops and what I'm smelling and everything. But I did not want to wear these together at the same time because I wanted to concentrate on one fragrance at a time so I could really concentrate and focus on one fragrance. So yesterday evening and last night, I only wore this and so I could really concentrate and think about it. This morning, I wore this, only this. So I wanted to focus and concentrate on what this was like in my head. So when I talk about them, I would have everything in my head straight. The history of these, Carven Vetiver. Carven Vetiver come out in 1957. It was the very, very first vetiver-based fragrance ever created. This was the king. This is the granddaddy of vetiver fragrances. This is the first one that ever come out. The notes to this are grapefruit, lemon, geranium, lemongrass, um, lavender, nutmeg, orange blossom, vetiver, cedar, sandalwood, and benzoin. Pretty cool bottle, huh? I like all the Carven bottles. You see this green? You see how it's sort of a pastel green? This pastel green fits the fragrance inside because I think the green represents vetiver. And to me, I don't know if they planned it this way or not. I haven't read anything or heard anything about why this is the kind of green it is or the color of green. But to me, this is pastel and it sort of fits the fragrance inside because sometimes when I wear a fragrance and experience a fragrance, I'll feel or see or experience a color also. And every time I wore this, I see this fragrance as a pastel fragrance. And it's sort of weird that this is sort of pastel. And I think the reason it makes it pastel to me is because of the lavender and the geranium sort of make it not, this isn't really a powdery vetiver or a powdery fragrance, but it does start leaning like it might get a little bit powdery and creamy. So that's the reason I would consider this a pastel fragrance is because of that. Um, this is very dominant vanilla or vetiver dominant, but this is a lot more thick and it has a lot more substance and it's a lot more full as compared to the Guerlain Vetiver. Um, this is a little bit more complex. This is a little bit more mature than the Guerlain Vetiver. This come out in 1961. As a matter of fact, um, this and the Carven Vetiver are linked in a certain way because the Carven Vetiver come out first in 1957. The perfumer of Guerlain at the time smelled Carven Vetiver and liked it so much it inspired him to create a vetiver based fragrance. So this was born 4 years later. Guerlain Vetiver was born, and it's all because of Carven Vetiver. Um, if it wasn't for Carven Vetiver, Guerlain Vetiver would probably not exist. So everything is owed to this as far as all the vetiver fragrances out today. It's owed to this. It's owed to Carven for coming out with it first because it inspired a lot of perfumers and a lot of houses to create their own vetiver based or vetiver dominant fragrances. So good for you, Carven, the granddaddy of vetiver fragrances. Now this come out 4 years later. Jean-Paul Guerlain created this because of Carven Vetiver. This come out 4 years later in 1961. The notes to this is orange, bergamot, lemon, nutmeg, pepper, vetiver, tobacco, and tonka bean. This is more of a pure green, grassy vetiver. It's much more pure vetiver, much more clean. There's less going on in it. It's not quite as mature as Carven. Um, this is more of a straight up green grassy vetiver with some spices. It's a lot more clean, a lot more simple. It's not as complex as Carven Vetiver. Um, every time I wear this, you can wear any fragrance anytime you want, any season. It doesn't matter, any occasion, whatever. But every time I wear this, for some reason, I have it in my head that this feels like a spring, summer, more of a hot and heat as far as temperature, because it's more pure, it's more clean. It doesn't have a lot of stuff going on. It just fits summer and spring to me better than anything else. This, on the other hand, actually would also be great in summer and spring, but consider that this is a lot more thick and a lot more full and a lot more complex with that lemongrass and geranium and lavender. I think this would be also good in fall and wintertime. So I think this actually might be a little bit more versatile as far as like seasons. And I think this feels more mature to me, um, because it is more thick and full, and it does have a little bit of creamy powderiness to it. So um, I think that's the only difference is this is more versatile and it's a little bit more mature. So that's the differences between the two. As far as the quality, they're equal. Versatility would have to go to this. Summer and spring would have to go to this. This is more clean. As far as picking my number one, I can't do it. I can't do it because um, I love them equally. They are quite different, but I like them equally. I think even though one would be better for summer and spring and one would be better for certain occasions and seasons, in my mind, the quality is the same. I love them both equally. So I would pick both of them to be my number one. Let's put it that way. I can't pick number one because I love them both. They're like trying to, if you have like two children, um, you just can't pick like your favorite. You have to love them both equally. So that's how I feel about it. But anyway, I love you guys, and I hope you got something from it. I actually recommend both of these. Both of these are exceptional vetiver fragrances and fragrances in general. Um, if you want a year-round vetiver, go for this. If you want more of a clean spring and summer, go for this one. Get both of them. They're both inexpensive, and they're both from France. They're both French houses. So that is it for my comparison vetiver fragrances. So I hope y'all got something from it, and I'll be back soon for something else. Love you guys. Bye.